Welcome back to Ben Reviews. And when I was a kid, stupid catchphrases didn't overstay their welcome. Are people still saying YOLO? Anyway, let's talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a Nickelodeon cartoon like no other Nickelodeon cartoon. It's a martial arts epic about an ancient fantasy world that is made up of 4 nations of people who can each use one element of the earth as a weapon. They're called benders, and the 4 types are waterbenders, earthbenders, firebenders, and airbenders. However, there is one being that can control all 4 elements, called the Avatar, who is the most powerful bender of them all. The series tells the story of Aang, a young boy who must face the responsibility of being the Avatar, and with his 2 friends, Katara and Sokka, set off on a journey to stop the Fire Nation from completely taking over the world, bringing peace back to the planet. The show was a massive hit, and is one of the most critically acclaimed animated series of all time. Fans and critics point out the in-depth characters, beautiful animation, wonderfully written dialogue, unexpected plot twists, and edge-of-your-seat action scenes as the main positives of the show. So, yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a highly popular show that I couldn't get into. Boo! Ooh! Burn the witch! That was until I finally decided to get into it recently. Yay! Woo! Still burn the witch! So, I've gotten into this show, and I can say that it's really special. It's one of the few examples of something being perfect. Something that most people can only wish to accomplish. Everything about it just screams perfection. Although I've only gotten through the first season, I can see that it's an epic show that Nick had a lot of guts to produce, and I'm so glad that they did. So, answer me one question. Why does Hollywood think that this show needs a live-action movie? Oh, right, this is Hollywood we're talking about. The town that speaks only 3 languages: money, moolah, and cash. If you try to speak logically to them, all they hear is, this idea isn't going to make you any money. So, Hollywood decides to take something that's popular and make a movie out of it just because they need more dollar bills to sleep on top of at night. But, hey, maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe Hollywood is going to put effort into this adaptation. If they can just get the right person to head this adaptation, maybe it'll actually be great. Oh, truck me! Really, Paramount? Out of all the directors in Hollywood to adapt a martial arts fantasy cartoon, you picked the guy who made a movie about a bunch of aliens who are hurt by wood and water landing on a planet that's mostly made up of wood and water? Let's not forget he also made a movie about plants secreting a gas that's causing people to commit suicide, so through the whole movie, the people are running from the air. The trucking air! That's who you picked to adapt such a great animated series? Well, if it's being handled by the guy who gave us this, what? No. Then we're in great shape. So, get ready to want to learn element bending. Here's my review of The Last Airbender. So, we start off with a great live-action recreation of the opening to the show. What? Am I watching the right movie? Shyamalan actually got something right about the show? Huh. Maybe I was being too hasty. Maybe Hollywood is able to make a great adaptation of something. Oh, I can't wait to see all the characters I love brought to life in this movie. I can't wait to instantly recognize all of the Who the hell are they? They were never in the show! I demand an explanation! Okay, so Shyamalan is adding some new characters to the adaptation. That's okay, just as long as they're as compelling and lovable as the characters we know from the show. Alright, let's continue so we can find out who these characters are. So, we see a girl bending a ball of water, and she accidentally drops it on her brother. Well, that was awkward. Alright, so what are the names of these characters? The girl then starts to narrate as it shows her and her brother walking through the icy landscape. Okay, I get it, life sucks for you two. Now, would you be so kind as to tell me your names so I can actually start caring about you? They then see something glowing under a frozen lake, and the boy hits the ice, and it starts to crack. I still don't know your name, but I'm going to call you Dumbgrass. So, Dumbgrass and his sister run away and they see a giant ice ball flying out of the lake. The girl then starts to go near it, but Dumbgrass stops her. Katara, don't do it. Whoa! Hold on! What did he just say? It. Before that, don't. Before that! Katara. There! Right there! Did he just call that girl Katara? That's Katara? Then that means that's Sokka! Wait, hold on. Those 2 pale-faced Americans are Katara and Sokka? Oh, what have I got myself into? Shyamalan, you do realize that in the show, Katara and Sokka are Eskimos, right? Now, I don't know if you know this, but Eskimos aren't white. Now, I really hate to get mad about this, but I'm a firm believer of when it comes to adapting characters, you must keep every single trait of those characters, and that includes racial backgrounds. It would be like having a black Mario, or a white Blade, or an Asian Homer Simpson. It just doesn't work! Wow, if Shyamalan can't even get the ethnic backgrounds of two of the main characters right, then that's not a good sign. I'd also like to point out that the acting is horrible! Sounds like the actors memorized their lines shortly before filming, but they forgot what their emotions were supposed to be. I know, people are gonna say, they're just kids, lay off. That's actually more insulting to children. You're basically assuming that just because they're kids, that means they're gonna be bad actors. Kids can act just as well as adults can. They just need proper direction. Proper direction that doesn't exist when you're working with Shyamalan. Anyway, Katara and Sokka break the ball of ice, and a little boy and his bison are in it. They then say that they're taking him to the village. And it cuts to the village, where Katara is shown walking into a tent talking to the boy. The heck? Is there a scene missing? That was the fastest transition I've ever seen in a movie. You found a boy in an iceberg. Don't you want to find out who he is first before you bring him to your village? Mike Jones! Doesn't Shyamalan even have an extra minute to spit? So, Katara and the boy start talking and... Guys? I think I'm tripping. I see two pieces of wood talking to each other. So, Sokka comes in and says that the Fire Nation has arrived. Wow, that was quick. Not even 10 minutes in, the Fire Nation is already arriving. Man, Shyamalan is speeding through this. Which isn't going to end well if he keeps it up. So, the Fire Nation troops show up and one of them takes his hood off. Wow, yet another character that I don't remember from the show. What's he doing in the Fire Nation? I am Prince Zuko. Wait, that's Prince Zuko? That? Okay, Shyamalan, once again, you're screwing up the racial backgrounds. Based off of the series, the Fire Nation most likely have Asian backgrounds, specifically Japanese. They're not Indian! Well, Shyamalan explained that when he got involved with the movie, he already had Dave Patel in mind to play Zuko, and since he's of Indian descent, he made the rest of the Fire Nation Indian. I guess Shyamalan doesn't know any Japanese actors. So anyway, the bald boy is brought to Zuko, and the bald boy agrees to go with him. And then it cuts to Katara and Sokka sitting in the tent talk. Okay, what the truck? Seriously, what the heck is going on? This movie is jumping to scenes like a grasshopper on speed. Why does the bald boy not want the villagers to get hurt? Is there, I don't know, a scene showing the boy bonding with the villagers? Also, is Zuko looking for the boy? I honestly don't know. I can't believe that I know the series, but this movie is still confusing me. Again, Shyamalan, slow the truck down. Take your time. Give the audience room to breathe and to grow attached to the characters. Don't just set up a scene, make something happen in it, and then jump to the next one. It's good for movies to have a quick pace, but you're going into overdrive. So, Katara and Sokka are talking, and Katara keeps saying that they have to help the boy because he's their responsibility. Okay, Katara, you don't even know his name and you're acting like you gave birth to him off screen. Where the heck was the moment when you realized you have a strong connection with him? What? Is carrying people to villages a marriage proposal in your culture? Ugh, this movie is building my rage meter. I really need some comedy to lighten my mood. How about it, Sokka? Drop me a funny line. Everybody's going to die. Wait, that's not funny. That's depressing. Oh great, Zuko is bland, Katara is annoying, and Sokka is emo. And this movie feels like it's being pasted together by a chimpanzee with arthritis. Can't any character make sense of what's going on? Yes, there is. As Sokka and Katara's grandma comes into the tent and talks about the bald boy. She goes on to say that she believes he's the Avatar due to his tattoo and that they need the Avatar to help bring peace to the... What? I ordered the hamburger horseshoe! Huh? Wow. Oh my god! I can't believe it! Shyamalan actually accomplished something that the show didn't! Shyamalan put me to sleep! Bravo, Shyamalan! Bravo! So, we cut to the Fire Nation ship where Zuko and Eru give the bald boy, who I'm assuming is Aang, a test to see if he's the Avatar. So, they proceed to Place the 4 elements in front of him, and they all move. That is so idiotic, lazy, and lacking in any logic and sense that it isn't even worth an angry rant that I have bottled up inside of me. So, it's confirmed Aang is the Avatar, and he easily manages to escape the ship. So, what does Zuko, someone who needs to capture the Avatar in order to be accepted by his father and be allowed back into the Fire Nation, do to stop Aang? He just watches him escape. Yep, he just stares and watches him escape. Maybe if I keep staring at him, his bicep will explode. Anyway, Katara and Sokka meet up with Aang as he's escaping, and they fly off on Appa. They then make it to the Southern Air Temple, where Katara finally asks him his name. He then says his name is Ung. Well, I guess I've been pronouncing his name wrong. It's not Aang, it's Ung. In fact, fans of the show did complain about the fact that Shyamalan did change the pronunciation of some of the characters' names. He tried to claim it was because that he was trying to be faithful to the Asian countries that the names come from, but I think it's because he knew these weren't the characters we come to know and love, so he changed the pronunciation of their names just so we can distinguish them from each other. So, for the rest of this video, I'll be pronouncing the names of the characters differently because I refuse to call them something they're not. So, Ung then meets up with Moo Moo. What is that? That is a horrible CGI effect, my good man. They're known to put several set designers, puppeteers, and stop-motion animators out of work. Be cautious, or one might replace you and give a better performance. So, Ung then sees that all of his fellow airbenders were killed by the Fire Nation. He becomes enraged and he goes into the spirit world, where he meets a giant talking dragon. What? Ung meets a talking dragon? A talking dragon? Really, Shyamalan? Did you even watch the show? Did you even look at pictures of the show? Did you even know what channel the show aired on? Aang never meets a giant talking dragon. He talks to the previous Avatar, Roku, who he forms a relationship with, and he helps Aang along his journey. I haven't seen much of Roku, seeing as how I haven't finished the show, but from what I've seen, he seems like a wise and caring character that has a strong importance to the show. In your movie? Nope, there's no Roku. It's just a giant talking dragon. Because, hey, kids like dragons, right? Are there any more lies you want to tell me about a show I love, Shyamalan? Come on! Tell me lies! Tell me sweet little lies! Let's keep hearing them. We then cut to the Fire Nation where the Firebenders are having a feast. Zihao starts to explain Zuko's backstory to us. Oh, that's all? You're not going to dig deeper than that? You're not going to actually show us what the character is about? No? Alright. The trio are then in a forest where a little boy runs into them. Fire Nation troops follow shortly after, and they say that they want to arrest the boy. He was spitting tiny stones at us from behind a tree. It really hurt. Yeah, and he almost broke one of my nails. The trio then stick up for him. You're not taking him anywhere. No one is taking anyone away. What a strange echo. It changed voices. They are then captured and taken to a prison for Earthbenders, which is surrounded by Earth. Wow, good job on that one, Fire Nation. What's next? Are you going to capture a bunch of waterbenders and put them in the ocean? Yeah, that'll show them. Let's see them try to break out of that one. Anyway, Ung gives an inspirational speech to the Earthbenders, and that's all it takes for them to fight back. A Fire Nation troop then makes a joke about Ung, and Kitiara shoves them. Yeah, take that, Fire Nation! First she'll shove you, then she'll give you a fruit snack, then she'll finish you off by giving you a massage. You don't truck with Kitiara. So far, this movie is a huge letdown. Shyamalan isn't getting anything right about the show, but there is one way he can redeem himself in this whole movie. The cartoon is an action show, and the action was one of the main things that kept the show exciting. So, Shyamalan, this is your last chance. Show us that you can do at least one thing right. Show us that you know how action works. Put some awesome earthbending on the big screen. Make our jaws drop. Make us spill our popcorn. Knock us out of our seats. Give us some amazing action, Shyamalan. So, 6 earthbenders proceed to do a dance, which causes one rock to float in the air. Another bender then uses the rock and fires it at a troop. Oh, God! Oh, wow! Oh, man, that's unbelievable! I've never seen anything like it! The movie I'm picturing in my head requires popcorn. So, after a slow and sloppy action scene, the trio are then talking to each other, and for a moment, I feel like I'm in an intimate relationship with the main characters because they're right in my face! For Miyazaki's sake, Shyamalan, step back a little! What's the point of this close-up? Are you trying to say in an unclear way that Ung is the whole universe or something? If the close-up doesn't have a point, then don't do it! Didn't you learn anything from Aladdin?
Too close, a little too close.
Anyway, the trio leaves the village, and Kitiara is helping Ung to waterbend. Ung then flies to the Southern Air Temple and, for truck's sake, Shyamalan! Slow down! My Avery, I'm trying to care about this half-grass adaptation of one of my favorite shows, but you're managing to not even make me care for your own lazy versions of some of my favorite animated characters, and you're making me care less about this confusing story you're trying to tell. You see, this is why it's a horrible idea to adapt TV shows into movies. TV shows have several episodes that give them plenty of time to develop characters and storylines. Movies, on the other hand, usually only have an hour and a half to do the same thing. But in this case, Shyamalan is trying to shove in a 20-episode season into an hour and a half long movie. So, of course, Shyamalan has to keep this movie going at a Speedy Gonzales pace just so he can tell the whole story of the first season. This leads to some important characters not being used, the scenes feeling lazily pieced together, with few of them not even flowing with the rest of the movie, and of course, telling, and telling, and telling, and telling, and telling! Why was this movie made again? So, Ung goes to the temple where he meets a monk. He then goes into a room where he sees statues of the previous avatars. Of course, you'd expect there to be a flashback by Ung to show how he became the avatar, but that requires character development, which is too slow for Shyamalan. So, let's leave it out and keep the movie going. So, the monk surrenders Ung to the Fire Nation, and the Blue Spirit frees him. Now, I don't want to spoil what happens because there might be people watching this who haven't seen the show, so allow me to pull a Speedy Gonzales. Anyway, the trio make it to the Northern Water Tribe. Does Shyamalan at least have room to show the romance between Sokka and Uy? My brother became friends with the princess. Of course not. Anyway, the trio's point of coming to the Northern Water Tribe was for Ung and Kitiara to have a master to teach them waterbending. So, they train with Master Puka, as Ung and him take turns shooting PlayStation graphics at each other. It's not long before the Fire Nation arrives, and Ung needs a place to meditate so he can talk to the Moon Spirit. He's then taken to a shrine where he meditates, and Kitiara agrees to stay and protect him. That's right, Kitiara. I hope you're ready to make sandwiches for anybody who comes to take Ung. Those will scare him away. Zuko then shows up, and Kitiara is easily beaten by him. I guess Zuko wanted the sandwiches with mayo on them. Anyway, outside the shrine, the battle begins as the Fire Nation attacks the tribe. Some of them use hats with drills on them to dig up through the ice. I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, Ung eventually wakes up and he tries to escape from Zuko while the battle between the Fire Nation and the Water Tribe rages on. Might I point out that in the show, the Firebenders can create fire by themselves? However, in this movie, the Firebenders need to be around fire in order to bend them. That's just a minor thing to complain about, but what's so nerve-wracking is the Water Tribe has several lit torches all along the palace which the Fire Nation can use! You freaking morons! With that kind of stupidity, I hope you get conquered by the Fire Nation. And considered how wimpy they are in this movie, that's saying something! So, Ung and Zuko have a kung fu fight. I guess they forgot they were benders for a second. Eventually, Kitiara and Sokka show up and save Ung. One could wonder how the hell Kitiara knew where Zuko was keeping Ung, but I'm too bored of this movie to care. So, Zihao finds the Moon Spirit and kills it. Why? Well, the Waterbenders need the moon in order to bend water, so without it, they can't use their powers. So, the moon turns red, which renders the Water Tribe useless. But the moon is still there, it's just a different color. What the heck? Shyamalan, Ben, don't try to question his logic. Ung is angry to see all the violence going on, and he's ready to end the battle once and for all. Alright, in the show, Aang went into the Avatar state, and he turned into a giant sea monster made of water, and he practically crushed everything. It was awesome-mazing. So Shyamalan, I'm begging you, do one right thing. end this movie with a bang. Make at least one scene from this movie that I can look at and enjoy. Can you do that? Please? Cursed the optimist in me. So, glows blue, punches the air, and he makes a big wave. Yep, just one big wave. And how does the Fire Nation react to that? Oh no! This kid has water! He'll get us wet! Ah! Yeah, that's all it takes to drive away the destructive and powerful Fire Nation. How'd these guys take over half the world again? Everyone then bows to Ung. It then shows Oze talking to his daughter, and he gives her the task of capturing the Avatar. Well, it's a good thing the sequel never got made. Sure, Shyamalan says he's ready to film the sequel, but not in my world he isn't. So, that's The Last Airbender. It's a cinematic disaster that has a big middle finger to such an amazing cartoon. But was anybody actually expecting it to be good? Come on, guys. I'm sure it was easy to predict that this movie wasn't going to work, and we were right. An hour-and-a-half long movie isn't going to be able to match the quality of a 20-episode season of a show that is so well put together that it doesn't even need an adaptation. This show is fine the way it is, just like a lot of things are. But no matter what, Hollywood is going to adapt things just to make a quick buck, no matter how much they might tick people off. I keep trying to tell you folks that Hollywood is evil, but you just don't listen. Anyway, I'm Benthelooney, and I'm signing out. I'm gonna go finish watching the series.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet